Yes.
Yeah.
The lovely, the beautiful TJ McCullough.
I've been called pretty, but never beautiful, and so now you're very special to me.
That's the same channel as the intro.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, coming to you live from beautiful FingerLakes1.com studios. And Brian's back, and we're back on a Monday. It's almost like everything is coming together as planned.
It is. Both of our kids are done with sports for a little while. Nothing else going on. And here we are. So it's pretty cool.
Yesterday we had nothing to do.
Really?
Sunday we had nothing. The Bills didn't play. We had nothing to do. So today Melissa texted Alan's soccer coach, and he signed up for Marcellus.
Sweet.
So
She figured one day enough and this was enough, huh?
She said, "Yep." She said we're good.
Nice. That's cool.
Did you enjoy the last game of the season last week?
It's always good to win. I'd never seen a football coach kicked out of a game before till that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's interesting. But yeah, the kids they went out on a winning note, so that was good. And now I'm just waiting for Nick to get healed up so we can get back in the weight room and start getting ready for next year.
Does he do anything in the winter and in the spring?
Lift weights.
Lift weights.
Run.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah,
Football camp, stuff like that.
That's always a good time.
Yeah, so getting ready.
Nate, we were talking a little bit before the show got started. TJ is waiting in the ways. We're already catching up with TJ McCullough. We got some team lists that we're going to break down that we didn't get a chance to get to. But Nate was asking questions about Blizzard Bash, where it is. He's learning things about Demolition Derby, and it turns out he's got a Demolition Derby connection. He went to school with Andy Lee.
Oh, okay.
And they built cars and stuff.
Oh,
so,
cool.
I mean, Andy's been in the studio before. I just happened to bump into Andy when they were fixing another broken elbow at the sewer junction on Chestnut Street. So that's a conversation for after
Awesome.
the show wraps up. But yeah, TJ's hanging out with us here, getting ready for Buried Alive 3. It looks like you're very calm, and I feel like maybe you're just putting on a composed face, and there's all sorts of chaos and turmoil in the background.
Yeah, it's hard to be. It's hard to be calm in the tornado, but here we are.
Now, TJ, you were just telling us that this promoting stuff's easy, man, and it's like done, and you're just counting it down. So I mean, don't put the front out there, bud.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Now, if anybody ever wants to give it a shot, I'd love to be the one on there, telling them everything they're doing wrong, like you guys do to us. It's tough. I mean, it's fun. It's definitely something that it takes a rare breed. I thought it was going to be a lot easier, personally, than it is, and it's turned out to be an evolving thing that is really cool to try to chase, because the drivers change what they want, the fans change what they want, and trying to chase that rabbit all the time and try not to go down rabbit holes and throw something against the wall that doesn't stick is really tough, especially with the things that we do to try to be different. And it's been fun trying to figure out what's best for Deadman and what's best for the drivers, and because sometimes we don't have the same opinions,
but they don't also get to pick either. I think that's one of the things that you've really done a good job at here probably in the last year or so, is you've been able to block out a lot of the static and block out the noise and make the decisions that are going to be right for Deadman and let the cards fall where they fall. I mean, and you're reaping some of the benefit of that. You know, by all intents and purposes, Buried Alive is going to have, probably approaching 400 cars pre-registered, so you're going to knock 30% off of that just on the count of because, but still, I mean, you're quickly approaching outgrowing another venue.
It's humbling. We have an amazing group of fans, an amazing group of drivers that support us through and through. We have a large group of people that come to every single Deadman show that we promote. We had people travel to Indiana from the East Coast this year and follow us, which was just awesome to see. We've tried some new things, and it kind of seems like every time we try something crazy and different, there's a group of crazy people that are like, well, I'll try it, and I always said that it takes crazy people to do certain things, and that's definitely something that we need in our sport. And I just feed off of that energy that those drivers, sometimes they'll message me and be like, what if we did this? And I'm like, wow, okay, that's really dangerous. And if I'm saying that's really dangerous, I'm like, we got to do it. So we've tried some things. We had to cancel the driver with a death wish in the 2-man extreme, which was going to be the one driver facing forward, one driver facing backwards, because when I sat down at 6'1" in the passenger side of the car with the pedals, my head was literally 4 inches away from the header pipe, and I was like, this is not good. so we decided to just keep the name Deadman a figure of speech.
Yeah, good idea.
Probably a wise choice. Sitting out there still is, I don't believe at this point there's been any repercussions yet, has there?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because we have Danny Dular and Greg White both won Day of the Dead Reaper contracts. They got the urn. Now, what that gives them, if you guys don't know what that is a free ticket anytime. They don't have to tell me they're coming. They don't have to. They just have to come through inspection that day. They got a pass, and then they get 2 extra fix-it plates on top of the max of the rules. Then they get to come in late with the Reapers straight into the feature and any show that they want. And we have 2 $15,000 to win shows coming up at Buried Alive, and I'm kind of thinking, what better place to cash that in, to not have to worry about any of the bad luck that can go on in a heat, and just go straight to the feature with a fresh car and 8 fix-it plates.
That answered that right there. It's going to be a fresh car. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice.
Yep, and
go ahead.
But so that raises a great question. Is a fresh car the best thing always in a feature? Or is a packed, like after you've had 2 or 3 hours to work it, like let a guy lay over the quarter panels nice and tight over top of because our quarters have to remain upright. So when you start, your quarter panels and your trunk isn't as strong as it can be after you take 2 or 3 hits and people climbing in the back and pushing the quarters over. It's going to make that rear end a lot stronger. Is it better to have a fresh one or maybe a lightly pre-ran car? I don't know, but we're going to find out, I think. I know that so Danny Dular is 16. So that a lot of people don't know that. He's coming off a big win there, kind of maybe a surprise win. And now he's coming into possibly the biggest derby of his life. I gotta hope that he's sitting there shaking a little bit, because let's face it, anything that I do always has a twist to it. And though you may have a giant advantage as a Reaper, it's going to be a giant target on your back when I announce in the driver's meeting that you're cashing in.
Right.
True.
Right.
So, I mean, that's how I would look at it. Like, oh no, now we got a fresh car in here, 2 extra fix-it plates, and everybody had the same right to try to earn that. It was just only the few that were brave enough to go through Day of the Dead, which was a bloodbath, to earn that opportunity. And now they're going to reap the benefits, hopefully.
Well, I mean, you were talking about what worked and talking about the changes and the twists and stuff that you're apt to try. And I think this is one of the things that really did work. Whether you're going to have a fresh car, whether you're going to run something that maybe you picked up used and just massaged a little bit, either way, I still think that there's the 2 extra plates and the fact that we already, you earned that spot because you were driving hard to begin with. So it's somebody that's got the capabilities of driving a violent feature.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have to run, if you didn't know the format for Day of the Dead out there, guys, it was, we ran heats that you were not allowed to go over 10 minutes in the heat. Mm-hmm. And we weren't going to pull any Reapers before 2 minutes. And after the 2 minutes, if you deserved it, we were going to take 2 Reapers out of each heat. And these guys had to drive harder than everybody else in their heat to be noticed, survive for a couple minutes, and then have enough car to go back out in the feature against everybody else who did the same thing to qualify for that. And the features were, 15, 12 minutes long. I mean, they were fast paced because you have a bunch of crazies out there. And basically the whole idea behind it was I wanted to give the guys that put on the show a really good chance at their first big money win.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole idea behind all this, that anybody could win it. And, Greg White and Mel White, the drama, it came down to those two in the super stock class, and Mel White's disappointment banging on the steering wheel because he knew how important that was. And when I tell you, when I pulled that contract out of that urn and presented it to him and I signed that paper there, their eyes were like, it's real. Like, this is a huge opportunity for me. Because $15,000, I don't care what anybody says, life-changing money is any amount of money that changes your current situation. So $15,000 extra dollars tomorrow versus today is life-changing money.
Yeah, that would definitely come in handy for most anybody. But, and I mean, that's we've seen the videos of your shows, and I mean, man, they it's rare to have to talk to anybody about hey, we're not hitting enough. So obviously you've drawn in a group of guys that really likes to put on a show. So I mean, it's even if guys they show up at 2-run for the to just junk stuff. I mean, it's going to add to the feature. I mean, if they're not there to win, they're going to ruin people's days. So I mean, it's I think it'll really add to the feature if in fact they do show up for that.
Yeah, and it's really cool because, like, if you've ever been to one of our features where we let the Reapers in late, the pace is decent. It's pretty good. And then that 5-minute mark hits, and we don't red flag it. We let them in hot.
Yeah.
And it just changes it. I mean, the crowd starts going. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. Like, you can just feel it. And that's what I've always said about a dead man event. If you've never been there, I really do believe, and maybe I'm just crazy, but it's a feeling. Like, you can actually feel, it's palpable. Like, it's so intense and so strong when those Reapers come in. And it's like Steve Saipa last year, he was waiting for it. He literally just threw his wagon sideways right in the middle of the opening and wouldn't let him come in. And Yank's sitting back there, and Yank's got white knuckles, chin up on the steering wheel going, what do I do? I'm like, plow through him. So he come in there hot, just plowing through him, and all of a sudden it just went haywire. And it never stopped. It just kept the pace going. And that's why we've never had a feature go over 48 minutes yet.
Yeah. Which, I mean, for the way those cars are put together, I mean, that's a great time. I mean, those cars are, they're built to dish out and withstand, a lot of punishment. And, the fact that they're, and with the caliber drivers, they're done in 48 minutes. I mean, that's getting after it pretty hard.
It also keeps it entertaining.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Just to have that 48-minute mark and nothing going any over that, it doesn't get stale.
No.
You still have enough up and down, especially with a couple red flags where you can see the initial start and then the fatigue and then the Reaper and the Reapers are released. So you can still see a couple, 2 or 3 of those adrenaline dumps with the pace going up and down.
Yep.
But it doesn't get long in the tooth to where you're looking at it thinking, man, it's come on, fuel economy. We need a pit stop kind of thing, 45 minutes is 45 minutes no matter what. Everybody's going to be able to make it to the end.
Yeah. That's true. And we definitely take pride in that. We ask our drivers at the beginning. It's not a tell. It's, hey, guys, listen. We have a reputation that we like to uphold. We have an expectation of pace. Don't be the guy that we have to make an example out of, and we appreciate it because we don't have to usually go out and tell many people throughout, give them a little turn it up here and there. But I mean, for the most part, they handle it themselves. And what I really enjoy is that we have half the guys out there that don't want to drive hard. Half the other guys are like, well, if they're not going to drive hard, I'm going to drive through them. And I'm like, oh, yeah, awesome. That's what I've always said about if anybody ever had a problem with how, like, I drove or somebody else drove and they weren't driving hard, well, to go do something about it. And they do. When they show up, they get after it. And, some of those guys aren't used to that kind of pace. And, Ken Cascadden talked to me about the first year at Buried Alive 1 when we did this Reaper thing. He had an internal clock, and he said when he got to about that 3.5-minute mark, he worked his way down to that end. And he was so worried about the Reapers that he ended up getting himself wedged in that corner and ended up losing his time clock. And he ended up being eliminated from that, mainly because he was focused on that. And it's like anytime I can get in a driver's head and have them thinking about something else, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I want to make people feel uncomfortable on the track, but still keep them safe.
Yeah, that's something, that a lot of people don't think of is, when you do start sending guys out on that track, they are coming in hot, and how many of them are going to take a full track shot? And I mean, if you're in the middle of battling with somebody and someone hits you in a right front tire at 40 and you don't see it coming, that ends your night. So, I mean, it's definitely something, that guys have to be aware of. And, it's definitely it definitely adds to the show. I mean, like I said, I enjoy both styles, but I mean, if I can see somebody come out of nowhere at 40 and take a front tire off a car, I mean, that's kind of a bonus. So it's definitely cool. And and Bart Yaya once told me, we were talking, and he's like, that's why I like to stay in the middle of the track, because then you can only get hit half track, you can't get hit full track. So, it doesn't surprise me that, guys told you that, they were working back to the other end. So, definitely it's a one of a kind show. And, I've had a lot of people ask me about the Dead Man Show and, about how you do things, and be like, man, he's kind of crazy. Some of the stuff does. And I said, yeah, that's why people go. That's why it's been successful. There's only so many things different you can do. I mean, I think we've seen or heard about pretty much everything being smashed that can be. So, I mean, in order to make yourself a niche, you have to find a way to be a little bit different to draw people in. And I definitely think that's something that you have a stranglehold on right now. And it's, every year, like you said, you're always thinking about what you can do to change it, or, how you can improve it a little bit. So, I definitely have thought, that this is, it's really neat the way you do things. And, it shows on the track. I mean, full stands, full pits. Something right is definitely going on down there.
Well, I mean, I think the fans, in my opinion, 7-8 years ago, if you've been to one derby, you've been to all derbies, based on you're going to show up, you're going to see cars crash. Some are more exciting than others. Some have more cars. Some have different classes. But we've kind of seen that narrative every single day. And it's like, what can we do to capture not just the driver's attention, but also capture the people that pay the drivers, which is the fans? And what can we do for entertainment value? And I am not embarrassed to say I take a lot of ideas from wrestling and things like that, because it's sports entertainment. I want to be a sports entertainer in all aspects of promoting as well. But just like things like, they usually say no hearses. Well, for the first year, we didn't allow hearses. So this is the first year that the super stock class, you're actually allowed hearses. We wrote specific rules in there for hearses. So is somebody going to bring a hearse? That could be cool. Like, that's something that not everybody gets to see. And that's when that fan doesn't know that even exists as a possibility. They show up and they go, oh my gosh, that's a hearse. Like, this could be really cool, and that's just another thing. It's like, hey, we're Dead Man. Why are we not allowing hearses? It was kind of like a no-brainer at that point in time. But trying to push the envelope all the time is something that I will continue to do. And when people say, TJ, you never know what he's going to do, the problem is sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to do until I feel it in the moment. And I'm like, yes, let's do this. I mean, that Reaper thing was 15 minutes before the feature. Jacob Gilliam came to me. He's like, hey, you like switching things up. What about this? And I was like, yes, we're doing it. And we did it. And it can happen at any point in time. Mark Elliott and we were the ones that kind of just birthed the fatal four ways and the triple threat consolations and mixed that all up on the drivers. And people are literally afraid to park next to their friends anymore, because I might throw you against them.
Mm-hmm. But and that's, like I said, it's different, and you found a way to be different, and it's, that's why people are welcome to, or they're opening their arms to it, because it's you've kind of, like you said, you've kind of seen everything once, and sometimes you got to do things to spice it up. I mean, I'm still waiting for the bikini mud bath match or something, but Chris is shaking his head. Maybe we could work into something like that eventually. I mean, each promoter puts up, like a trophy girl. They can have a
So Buried Alive 3 is going to be the 28th, 29th, and 30th in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. And the show itself, and when we were talking earlier, without getting into a lot of the specifics on it, Exactly. This has been set up all year long to be the crown jewel. This is set up to be the biggest derby that you guys put on as a whole with Dead Man, and it's the third edition of it. So you've been able to walk through it a couple different times now. Is it fair to say that this is all in on it, and it's going to be the biggest and the best?
It's so hard to not be emotional when it comes to anything you put passion into, and this, of course, myself, my wife, my friends, my awesome Reaper crew that we have, from the front gate person all the way down to people that clean up the track and everything. We've worked so hard to get to this point. And people forget that Buried Alive 3 will be our 2-year anniversary. 2 years, and it feels like 5, 7, and because we've had so many bumps in the roads and just learning experiences and trying to figure out what's best for Dead Man and what's best for our drivers and payouts and stuff. And sometimes it gets scary, and sometimes it's fun, and just it's nothing but excitement. And then sometimes it's just it's so many emotional roller coaster highs and lows on just every little thought process, and it's enough to drive you insane. But yes, we have pushed our chips 100% all in on Buried Alive 3 to be the biggest, the best, the fastest paced, the one show that you cannot miss. Buried Alive 3, that's what we've pushed our chips in. And we have the drivers that I know are going to come and put on an amazing show. We're just hoping that the fans come, and because that atmosphere is what I thrive on. And it gets me and Mark Elliott going back and forth. It gets the drivers amped up, and everybody wants to win, but everybody would love to win in front of 5,000, 6,000 people standing on their feet, or win a Reaper award standing on your feet. And we've pushed our chips all in to make this the best atmosphere that we've ever had. I mean, we're bringing a lot of stuff for the kids. We're going to have some really cool, like, gadgets and stuff like that you'll see, like, that just kind of make the derby look like Dead Man, decoration wise. And then, the music, we're bringing in extra speakers to absolutely rock that mountain bass underneath the grandstand, so when we hit the purge, you can actually feel the bottom of your legs rattle. I mean, just creating that huge atmosphere. And then, like, we have bounce houses for the kids. We have an inflatable boxing ring for anybody that wants to fight each other because they're not agreeing on the track. Come on out, fight each other there. Maybe we got some grudges we want to settle. We've got everything we have 18 vendors coming. If you want a part, it's there. Amazing food from breakfast, everything. We've spared no penny. We've put it all out there for everybody. And basically what I'm saying out there is if you cannot be happy with what we've presented for Buried Alive 3, I don't think the Dead Man can make you happy. And I'm going to stand on that and say that we're coming to impress. And I hope to impress every single person that comes to that front gate.
Well, it's certainly a high bar right there.
Absolutely.
I like it. It's and I also like the fact that you're kind of keeping the Demolition Derby world honest with it too. Like, look, I mean, we're doing everything we can to make the right decisions. We're doing everything we can business-wise. We're doing everything we can entertainment-wise. If at some point, if you don't like it, then I guess maybe it's just not for you. But I was getting a little bit anxious. I was waiting for the references to come, because TJ was saying something about down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to. I heard it. I don't know if you did, but I was waiting for the white rabbit.
Yes,
stuff.
because he has reappeared.
Don't lie to the ones you love, TJ. Don't lie to the ones you love.
Listen, all I can say to my drivers is, I'm going to do some horrible things, and I'm not going to apologize for them. I go where the circle takes me.
Howdy, TJ. Awesome. Any final thoughts? Any final details or anything like that? We do have a break coming up. We're going to break down some Blizzard Bash lists. You're welcome to. I know you had a lot of stuff that you planned on, and you're also trying to get to bed at some night this week. So if you wanted to hang around for another segment, you're more than welcome to. Or we can let you go, because I know Kayla's watching in the back, pointing at the wrist, saying we got a lot of stuff to do today.
She's actually at the market. She took a break. I mean, That's one thing. I want to give a huge shout out to my awesome wife, who is my 100% partner in crime when it comes to this stuff. She's my checks and balances, and she's everything for me to be able to do what I'm trying to do for you guys. So anything that I'm able to do for you, it's because she's standing behind me and supporting me. So a huge shout out to Kayla and to Dead Girl and everything. We hope to see just a lot of new faces this year. We hope to impress. We hope to live up to the expectations, because that's the hardest thing is that when somebody puts you on a pedestal, and thank God we've been mentioned with some of the greatest promoters and the greatest shows in the country, and just to be mentioned with that's humbling. Just to try to live up to the kind of pace that a Blizzard Bash brings, or to live up to the kind of car count that a Bash for Cash can pull, it's awesome. And just to be mentioned in those type of sentences with those people is humbling. And I just hope that everybody gives Deadman a chance to impress, and just comes out and just enjoys what looks like beautiful weather and just a great time of camaraderie with everybody from the Derby vendors to the fans and everything. And we hope that if you're not there, that you're watching and supporting us, and keep us in your prayers, and just enjoy the show, guys. It's going to be a wild one.
Hey, just one thing quick. Are you going to have your belt from Iron City Nationals and signing autographs that night as well as a driver, or what?
Well, see, I thought it was really cute that Iron City Nationals this year had 3 heats to determine the number 1 contender for my belt. I thought that was cool. But I told Mel White, if you win, I'm challenging you 1-on-1, belt for belt. But I don't know. I think I wanted to come out and cut a nice little heel promo, but I might be a little bit too good for that for my own good. I might have everybody wanting to kill me. So I told Kayla what I wanted to say, and she was like, "You are not saying that." No. So plan B. We're gonna come in a little lighter this year, and just come out and just put on a perfect, our version of perfect demolition derby. But as far as the I can't let it go. I just need to know, are you nominating somebody for the mud wrestling thing, or were you trying to get in that yourself, or what was going
Well,
on?
I mean,
What are you doing?
If you want names, I mean, I could definitely give you some names. I mean, you know how sometimes Kayla tells you don't say that. I have the same thing with Chris on occasion. So this is probably one of those times. But I mean, if you want names, I'm sure I could come up with a few.
Handle it.
Listen, I don't even know what the entry fee for something like that would be, but I know what the exit fee would be for that. That would be my marriage. So I think I'll pass on that one. A good idea. Maybe a different promoter might be able to grab one of that. You never know, guys. Make sure Brian gets all the royalties for that, though.
I like the sounds of that.
Oh, man. Well, Buried Alive 3 is this weekend. It's the biggest and best one yet. Deadman Demolition Derby is celebrating the 2-year anniversary in Dunbar, Pennsylvania this weekend. It's going to be an outstanding show, 3 days, the 28th, 29th, and the 30th. All new decorations, and then for sure there's going to be a couple twists and turns in there as well. And I mean, Brian, it's going to be streamed. You're going to be able to catch that on Track Shot, so that's out there too. Man, I wish you the best, and hopefully everybody stays safe. And we will.
That's
we'll
what I'm talking
soon.
about. Have a good show, TJ.
Let me in, guys. Have a good one.
We'll see you later. So we're going to set up. We'll take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. We'll talk a little bit more about Unified Points and where things are at, and then we'll dive into some Blizzard Bash stuff. And then there was only 3 events left on the 2022 Unified Point Series chase. There was no action this weekend as everybody is preparing for Deadman Productions Buried Alive 3. That is going to be in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. That's the 28th, 29th, and 30th of the month to wrap up the month of October. And then 2 more shows after that. The 12th is Hardcore's Fall Cleanup Show in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. And then the season finale is going to be November the 26th. Coke Promotions overseeing the Turkey Derby. Win over there at the Preble Cleanup Show. He is leading with 192 points. Steven Sickles next in line with 138 points. Ty Richards with 68. Tie for 4th, Trevor Jones and Scotty Drevenak. That'll go back on the tiebreakers. So there will be an official 4th and 5th place there. Dennis Hogan, 56 points. Don Santel, 55 points to his credit. Bill Miller, 53. Mark Metz with 50. Cody Klumke rounds out the top 10 with 42 points. Again, online for additional information, visit the 527 Unified Series.com or check out Mark Elliott's Facebook page. There was some virtual Unified Point Series action over the weekend as well. The 2-man nationals
overseen by Brandon Reimer. Vito 324 Gaming hosting this one. The two-man nationals results the team show. Leyland Wardell and Ryan Phillips taking the win there. Gavin and Herb Elkins were second in the team show. Johnny Alexander and Alex Sager were third on the team show. The Gut-and-Go Wesley Lutenheisen ended up winning that one. Darren Zoff Jr. was second. Kelby Miners from Circle Z was third at team show. Because it was Heat's consolation feature, that did pay double points. The remaining schedule, there's 4 shows to go. October 28th and 29th, that's this weekend, Crash Course Nationals 5. All of that registration is done, and a bit of a unique format for that one. November 4th and 5th, the Stars Fall Show. November 19th is the Turkey Derby. That's, again, Coke Promotions. The season's going to wrap up December the 10th with the December Devastation again with Vito 324 Gaming. Leaderboard at this point, no change in the top 5, but there's a little bit of a shakeup down there towards the bottom. Kyle Homer out in front with 80 points. Then Andrew Hernandez with 70 points. Michael Coons, 52. Earl Reff and Colin Wiley, 50 points each. Rowdy Burns, 48 points. Anthony Hernandez, 7th place with 46 points. Herb Elkins jumped up to 8th with that 2nd place finish in the double points event with 42 points. Trevor Mulder, Johnny Shanks, Zach Drummond, and now Alex Sager joining them tied in a 4-way break for 9th place, 36 points each after Alex took 3rd in the team show over there. Up top, Kyle Homer and Andrew Hernandez both entered for action this weekend at the Crash Course Nationals 5. Again, for additional details and anything else you want to know about Mark Elliott, 527 announcing Unified Series, jump online, 527unifiedseries.com. The 2022 Hardcore Tour is set to wrap up November the 12th. They've got their fall cleanup show. $100 entry, 100% payback, plus $500 from Hardcore to the Limited World full-size class. $60 entry, 100% payback, and $500 from Hardcore to each of the Hardcore Compacts, Hobby Stocks, and Street Stock Compacts. $50 entry, 100% payback for the Youth Compacts, Youth Full Size, Bone Stock Full Size, and the Minivans, Trucks, and SUVs. All that goes down at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. If you're looking for additional rules or additional information, jump online, hardcorederbypromotions.com, or jump on their very active Facebook page and check in with Frankie Guy. Once again, Hardcore's 2022 season going to wrap up November the 12th at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Dunbar. Online, hardcorederbypromotions.com.
And we are back. The live chat was really hopping tonight. It's always good. Christy Germain's hanging out in there. Jason Droz is watching along. Frankie Guy's watching as well. So certainly do appreciate that. And Matty Ice, Matt Evans, is checking in. Thanks for the stars, sir.
I don't know if we want to call him Matty Ice anymore. He just got benched.
Because he's cold.
Yeah, beyond cold.
you gotta know when to
hold and when to fold him.
I guess,
and
yeah.
Folded him.
Be aware, man. Read the room. Maybe he's overstayed your welcome, I suppose, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of the comments that some folks were hoping that the Dead Man show, that the Buried Alive show could someday end up at Upperco in Maryland, which they have a lot of space there. It would probably, conceivably it would work. And then somebody in the live chat was also suggesting we have Demolition Derby mud bogs, which is an interesting twist on things. But and then I missed who had said it, but TJ wants everybody to drive hard, but they feel that he's the biggest bagger of all time.
Hey, like you said, all you got to do is come out on the track and challenge him.
I guess so, right? Yep. So we've got the Blizzard Bash lists that we're going to be jumping into a little bit to kind of talk about any of the changes that are forthcoming with the team brackets and the team shakedown. Of course, it was last year. Mike Worth ended up finishing things off. Got the win for Team Busch Light, which what a turnaround for them. I mean, a couple of years ago they were knocked out. They had to win their way back in. They did so, and then they became the first team that's ever been able to come from the qualifying side, even though they were lifers. They got knocked out, and they came back through that qualifying side and got to the main event, and nobody had steering at the end of it. And it was Mike Worth that was able to go nose-to-nose there with Lyerly, and it took the Crazy Iowans out, which was another team that's, I mean, just looking at what the national bracket has become now that we've had, I think it's at least 50% turnover now with new teams having teams being eliminated and new teams coming in. If it was possible to become more stacked, it has.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we've said it year after year that it's so hard. I mean, if you lose your first round matchup, you're really battling uphill all weekend. And we've just seen some people that haven't been able to overcome it. And it doesn't matter how good a driver you are, how good your car is. When you have bad luck, it's just something you can't beat. And we've seen it in all forms of motorsports.
Right.
And we've just seen some teams go out there and just have terrible luck, and it bites them in the butt, and they're eliminated. And then again, we have a year like when Steve Siopa was out there and went out in Todd's wagon and had pretty much the entire heat after him and that Consi, and there was nothing left of the car, but he got down deep enough to keep from losing the spot.
Right.
I mean, that was one of the best shows put on of just, somebody taking body blows for, I don't know, had to be an hour. Guys were just, beating on him, and, he was doing what he could to keep mobile and just fought his ass off and I mean, the crowd picked up on what was going on, and he became a crowd favorite.
Right.
In that Consi, I mean, the entire place was cheering for him.
Because if I'm not mistaken, when he pulled out, it was a chorus of boos, wasn't there?
I don't remember, but I mean, I think he was the only one from the team that made it out.
He was the only one out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, he was a Lone Ranger, and it was obvious that there was numerous teams that had decided that he was going to be the one to take out, and they did everything they could, and he just kept going. So, we always, every year there's something, a new storyline. So it's very interesting to see what happens.
Well, there's certainly always storylines. So just to double back real quick, there's 2 divisions that are paying $15,000, which means there's 2 divisions that are offering double points at Buried Alive 3. So that's a big turning point. Now, right now, JD Loreen, he's got things under wraps. He's got things all covered up. You don't have to really worry about who's going to be the champion at the end of this thing. I don't think, because there's only 4 derbies left.
Yeah, I
and
think
nothing else besides this one here at Buried Alive. I don't believe there's any other ones that are double points. So that being said, there's still some battles to be determined further back, and one of those is Scotty Drevenak. Scotty Drevenak Jr., he's been chipping away, and word is he's bringing 2 cars.
Wow.
So he's got some. Now, you can only score your best finish position, but if you don't have 2 cars, you're stuck with whatever you get. You can always better things. So I'm hoping that Scotty can break that tie. Right now, I think he's sitting somewhere around 4th or 5th. And he might be able to make some inroads and climb up into that top 3 spot. It's something that's it's certainly doable for him.
Oh yeah,
there's plenty of talent there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we've seen him. I mean, we saw him, at Bash for Cash. We've seen him, drive at the pace that they were driving at Bash for Cash, and then at Iron City, we've seen him get after it. So I mean, he is definitely a driver that can, he's learning how to drive at any pace. And so he's definitely a threat to collect big points there.
I think he likes the more metered pace.
Yeah,
versus
I would assume.
But I don't think anybody else would argue that. I would much rather be able to pick a car apart than have to go wide open and get bounced around like that, right?
It's a lot more fun to drive fast.
As long as you're the hammer, not the nail, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I haven't taken many hammers, so I've dished a few out, and it was a lot of fun.
Mike Rozan tuning in. I hope I said his last name right. Ronzan. I've known him forever, and I'm still not 100% sure how to say his last name. With J&J Derby Promotions, he's checking in. The whole perspective of some of the stuff that TJ was saying and how he's got his dialogue and his name is mentioned around some of the top promoters in the country, and we talk a lot about Smash It and things of that nature, and he's earned the spot at the table in 2 years.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, it's yes, he does pay good money, but he's got to be doing something right because he keeps getting cars coming back, and we've seen
he's got cars coming from a long ways away.
Yeah, and we've seen numerous shows where big money's offered and they only draw 8, 10, 15, 20 cars. So it's obvious that he's doing what it takes to get guys to come back. So,
and he was telling me a story, early on there were some struggles, and he was listening to some of the chorus, and saying, if you do this and you do this, it'll fill up instantly. And they paid crazy money, and he's paid all the money.
Yep.
But he took a bath on a couple of those early ones. So I mean, I'm really glad that he's been able to get to a point where he's benefiting from all the effort that they put in as a whole.
And it's tough. I mean, we over the last almost 10 years,
Close.
You know, we've seen all sorts of shows, and we've seen all sorts of different variations in shows as far as classes and stuff. And unfortunately, in our travels, everywhere we've gone, somebody's complained. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you know, and I've only helped promote 2 shows, but as a promoter, you know, at the end of the day, you have to figure out what's best for business, because promotion is a business. Nobody gets into promoting derbies to lose money. That's not what it's about. So you have to figure out what you can do to guarantee to get enough cars there to A, pay everything off, and B, try to make a little money.
Right.
And that's the tough part. I mean, you know, obviously, you know, it's there's no guarantees, but you know, you know, you have to try to find something that works for you. Obviously, TJ's done that. You know, and
profit's not a dirty word. I mean,
No,
that's one of the
absolutely
issues
not.
that you run into with Demolition Derby as a whole, is that profit's not a dirty word, and promoters are out there to make money. And if somebody's successful, everybody's so quick to start tearing down what they've done or start judging what they've purchased or the means. And it's like, I mean, to what extent is the promoter responsible to take everything that they make and reinvest it back into the sport? It's a great idea, but to some extent they need to make it worth it. I mean, he's probably been putting up with weeks and weeks and weeks of the same phone calls, or somebody trying to twist the words or trying to slip something through, or all these different elements of the game that we know happen. And then we get to the day of the show, and he's going to be hurtling over concrete walls, and he's going to have to make everybody safe, and then somebody's not going to have any hot water in the portable showers, and there's going to be no toilet paper, and this thing. And all that's just going to land on his plate too. So when it's over with, it'll be nice to have it over with, and you got to have something to make all of this headache worth it. Otherwise, you're just moving money from point A to point B, and why would you deal with those headaches?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you know, and we've heard it, unfortunately, you know. Well, he makes this much money. Well, yeah, but like you said, profit isn't a bad thing, because the more he makes, you know, the more he can put in the driver's pockets, the more he can do and this is all promoters. This isn't just TJ. I mean, this is, you know, because at one point or another, we've heard pretty much every promoter we've seen or dealt with badmouth. It's, you know, it's just how it works. But, you know, in order for these guys to continue having these shows, they have to be successful. They have to make money. They can't just pull it out of the air. You know, and right now, the way everything is, you know, with the economy, I mean, I couldn't imagine what it's going to cost, you know, somebody from Indiana or Kentucky or somewhere to haul to the show. You know, diesel $6 a gallon. You know, so it's tough, but, you know, promoters have to make money. And I mean, you know, it's, you know, people bash Tim Clark about, you know, what he does. Well, Smash It is Tim's business. That's what he does for a living. You know, and so people can bash him, but he does have to make money. That's how he supports himself. You know, and I believe he raised the pay again this year at Blizzard Bash. I think the national and the qualifying both got raises.
National class is paying $50,000 to win.
Yeah.
And then the qualifying side is paying $20,000 to win. And you know, Frankie Guy's in the chat right now. Hardcore does the same thing, and they're keeping all the wheels moving. And one of the things that Frankie does, one of the things that TJ hasn't lost sight of with Bash for Cash, Christy Germain up in Canada, the stuff that Spinning Wheels is doing here locally in our part of the country, they haven't left the little guy behind.
No, not at all.
When I was talking with TJ earlier today, and this is the other name that immediately came to mind when we were talking about this was Frankie Guy, and they don't let the guy down the street who only wants to build one car, who doesn't want to run for $10,000.
Yep.
There's a place for them at the table.
And you know, and that's, you know, that you brought up Spinning Wheels. You know, I think, you know, the last, you know, since they've been in, I think some of their best heats are the bone stock.
I agree.
Because them cars are junk when they get done.
And that's
it's how it was when we started going to derbies.
Well,
you know what I mean? And yes, I mean, you know, there's guys that run Chryslers and everything in there. So yes, they're a little more expensive, but they're junk.
we're biased to that whole Chrysler thing.
Yeah.
So that we got to kind of put to the side because everybody knows that we like the Mopar stuff. But you can guarantee 70 cars with better odds paying $5,000 to win with stock rules than you can full weld class and $10,000 to win.
Yes.
You can guarantee that. And when you jump from that $5,000 to the $750 to the $10,000, it's diminishing returns.
Yeah.
You should take that $5,000 jump from the 5 to the 10 and just spread it through the field, and you're going to have more cars than you know what to do with.
You know, and the funny thing is, and I won't say who this was, but I took that to a promoter and I said, "Hey, how about this?" And the promoter said, people don't come here to run for second. I said, "You're right, I agree, but you know, when you finish second and take home an envelope of $2,500 cash as opposed to $750 cash, you know, it's a little easier to go, man, I'm going to sign up and go back there next year." And that's you know, something that I used to love about Waterloo. We used to get paid to win a heat, and then if you made the feature, you got something back, even if it was just your entry, you got that back. So I mean, you'd come out of there, you know, if you won a heat and you know made the feature, you'd come out of there with, you know, $150. I mean, that's, or $100. You know, that was good back in the day. You know, but that is definitely something I would like to see, and I've talked to different people about it, but unfortunately, it hasn't caught on yet. Hopefully, it will.
I understand that people don't come to run for second, and it's nice to see that big price tag. I mean, it's no different than modified racing at this point, that you see that $10,000 to win up there on the top, and it's, you know, that 5-figure number is impressive. But now it's every big show is doing that. Everybody had to follow suit in order to draw the cars, and due to the costs, we can yammer on about that forever. But I still think that, and you know, correct me where I go astray, I still think that it is easier to get a regional guy who doesn't like to necessarily travel to big shows. They see the $10,000 to win tag. They're going to say, there's no way that I'm going to go run there because I'm going to have to lock horns with this guy and that guy and that guy and that guy because that's a national show. If you put $5,000 out there and pay really well back through, that regional guy is going to, it's an easier sell for him. And it's also, if he knows that, you know, it's kind of naive to think that the guys aren't going to come and run for $5,000, especially if it's paying well back through. But you can also say, all right, well, so I'm not going to necessarily win this, but it's paying pretty well for 5th. It's paying pretty well for 7th. Maybe I can justify the investment to go do this. And you know, Frankie Guy just said, "Foo." I don't know what he was referring to, but I'd like him to elaborate. But I don't know. I still think that I think there's some legs to that argument.
Yeah.
One of the names that pops up in that is Guy Raymond. Dunkirk's going to be well represented out at Buried Alive 3. There's another group of drivers that's the same way. Once they broke out a little bit, they're not necessarily going to be chasing those huge purses, even though Tommy Henderson did win Bash for Cash. They're not going to be chasing that huge stuff, but if they go and they start looking back up and down through, they're going to go there, they're going to have a good time, and they're probably going to ruin somebody's day, too, while they're down there.
Which they enjoy doing. Those guys get after stuff pretty hard. But yeah, I mean, you know, I would think if I won the lottery tonight, the first show I would put on, if you made it to the feature, you were guaranteed at least $1,000.
Okay.
That would be the first thing I would do. Regardless, you know, if we have a 30-car feature, then with 30 cars on the track, everybody in that feature is guaranteed $1,000. And then obviously, you know, you would pay down through, but everybody that made it would, you know, $1,000. I think that would, you know, that would help a lot of people. I mean, you know, that would at least cover your fuel bills here to there. Sure. So I mean, it would be, you know, it would be a little bit off, but you know, it's hopefully it's an idea that catches on.
We do have another break queued up. We're going to run through, tell you a little bit more about some of the people that are partnering here with Crash Course Podcast. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. And as we told you, we're going to get into some of that stuff with Blizzard Bash.
Jeffy's Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, Jeffy'sFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com.
Smash It Demolition Derby's regular season concluded over the weekend with the annual Fall Cleanup Show. That was at the Fayette County Fairgrounds. The Fall Cleanup Show opening round of action. Dylan Lewis took the win there in the Pro Stock class from Middletown, Ohio. Pro Stock mini class, Matt Phillips got the win from St. Paris, Ohio. He also got the Mad Dog Award for his efforts in the Pro Stock mini class. Street Stock full size, Zach Pryor from Greenfield got the win there. Two groups of Street Stock mini class. Doug Houston from New Vienna won the first one. Ryan Rui from St. Paris got the second. Street Stock Trucks and Vans, Dylan Christian from Sydney took the win there. And then Youth Mini Cars, Sean Hicks from Somerville took the win. So now with the regular season officially in the books for Smash It, attention is going to turn to that gigantic postseason show out there at the Stormont Vale Event Center in Topeka, Kansas. Blizzard Bash waiting right around the corner. November 9th through the 13th. Wednesday, 7 o'clock start for the heat draws. Again, all times posted here are the Central Time Zone. Thursday is the first round of actual on-track action. The national qualifying teams will go through their opening rounds. Inspections open at 8 a.m. Again, the action at 6. Friday, 6 o'clock start for round number 2. National Land qualifying, winner side and loser side. Those will both see action on track along with the limited weld one and done. Inspections again open at 8 a.m. Saturday is the twin bill, 10 o'clock start time for the compact and limited weld teams. That's their first round, and then the youth feature. Then we'll take the afternoon break, come back for a 6 o'clock start for the Power Wheels, all 4 B features for the compact, limited weld, national, and qualifying side, and then the modified and the truck one and dones will both be on that 6 o'clock card. Pits open at 9:30 in the morning on Saturday. That all leads us to Championship Sunday noon start time for the 4 team features. National champions battling for $50,000 to win. Qualifying champions going to be seeing $20,000 to win. Additional details, rules, further details on schedules and driver meetings and everything. It's all available online, smashitderby.com, and it's going to be aired only for you folks to watch it if you can't make it out to the Stormont Vale Event Center online at derbynation.tv. So follow the links, follow the information. If you need anything more, jump online, smashitderby.com. RPM Group is a progressive waste management business serving nearly 4,000 residents and businesses around Owego, New York. RPM Group can take care of all your waste management needs. Boasting a fleet of 2 roll-offs and 6 garbage trucks, RPM is fully insured and ready to serve. Ask about asbestos abatement and surveys, interior and exterior demolition, private parties and foreclosures, curbside trash and recycling, all that and more. Click or call, ask for Corey, tell him you heard about him here at the Crash Course Nationals, rpmgroupny.com, or 607-223-8714. Well, as we said, welcome back. We were going to be jumping into this. A bunch of folks checking in and watching along. Zach Anderson's out there. Josh Wagner checking in as well. Arden Jennings tuning in. Arden, cool. another blast from the past, so it's good to catch up with him. These team lists are absolutely insane. Team Kansas is coming back intact. It's going to be Chad Markley, Justin Montgomery, Brent Clemens, Barry Clemens. That group won a couple years ago, so they're back. WRP, Kenny Rosno, Matt Hoffmeister, Tim Lang, and Jared Van Gameren. That team is complete, and they're coming back. Calisota Style has shifted things up a little bit. Chris Lancaster, Carson Dixon, Ryan Shivers, and Artie Tressler going to be joining Calisota Style, so that's going to be another stout team. Extreme Ski, Colton Newhoff, Rhett Gluey, Ryan Sungalewski, and Jason Brodzinski.
That's a pretty good team.
Great
to see Colton back.
He has had such a resurgence.
Pretty dominant this summer. I think 2 or 3 shows he went to and won both classes.
Yep, he's been doing okay.
Yeah, he knocked a little rust off and good to go.
Team Busch Light is back as a full unit. Mike Worth, Cheesy, Greg Birkenpass, and Corey Nias. All those guys going to be running together in hopes of defending their championship. And then the Crazy Iowans, they're the team that took second place last year. That is Lane Ferricks, Justin Ferricks, Jerry Lyerly, and James Kitchell. And Kitchell was right down there in the mix of things when we were out there for the mod class in March, if I'm not mistaken.
Capital City Carnage.
Capital City Carnage. So he had a pretty good run out there. Team Octane is back again. Dylan Kunkel, Kyle Puttawitter, Booger, and Eric Floyd all running together for
Remember
Team
Booger
Octane.
retired?
Yeah, I do. I do. A couple times now.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of what we're working with here with Demolition Derby. You know, as much as you want to try to get away, it's going to suck you back in.
Pulls you back.
Yep. GH Graphics, PJ Schnarr going to be running with Scott Shepard, Clint Shepard, and Brandon Kilcoyne. That's the GH Graphics team. And then Postal Mopar. This was the Killer Trans team from a couple years ago. Parts and pieces of it. Cody Adams, and then number 211 is going to be with Dalton Palmer, Jason Kinman, and Blake Neely. So that's going to be a pretty stout quartet as well. another one that in this team right here has shifted their order a little bit, and they just need a break in my eyes. Team not for hire. Devin Groneveld, Corey Bunnell, Junior Sukut, and guess who they added? Daryl Ewing.
Oh, okay, nice. Pretty good pickup.
Yeah, that's a nice recruit right there. XP Derby product: Zach Johnson, Troy Johnson, Chris Collins, and Jared Heaney. Jared Heaney, we saw him run with a couple different teams now. And he's been a strong competitor. He was on a team with Matt Ertman, with Team Extreme at one point, and we saw him run the black and green cars, but I can't remember who else was on the team. I almost think that was another one of those Minnesota crew.
Yeah, maybe the second Team
It was
Extreme.
the second iteration of it. It was the year that I don't think Colton was on the team that year, but so he's swung around a little bit. The team cast is back: Jackson Bernstein, Justin Bernstein, Corey Peterson, and John Hayes added to that team, and then Derby Icons. Derby Icons, ready for this? Eric Blom, Luke Schaffner, Trevor Jones, Tom Henderson.
Good team.
That's another pretty
Good team. Yeah, I like that.
And then Team CPI, David Earl, Mike Schmidt, Tori Hyde, Nathan Gill going to be running together. And then Team Near It Demo. I think we covered everybody at this point. Team Near It Demo, Ryan Durham, Bobby Whitaker, Terry Timmons, and Brandon Johnson. And I think at this point, when you look at them and Team Kansas has had some turnover one at a time. Near It Demo might be the longest tenured team where the four have been running together, or at least three of them, because you've got Brandon Johnson's been with him for the last couple of years, and Ryan Durham, Bobby Whitaker, and then Terry. I think Terry jumped in last 2 years ago.
I think Ryan might be the longest tenured driver there, like as a whole out of any of the teams, because he was there for like the original guard speed when they won it.
For that team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Ryan might be there. He might be the longest tenured driver that's consistently ran in the national bracket.
National side, and then Chad Markley and Justin Montgomery would probably be right up there too. Those guys got a couple wins together.
Bet you Chad brings a wagon.
Probably a safe bet. Probably a safe bet. I don't think we got GWC. Tyler Tews, Cody Gaines, Mike Gaines, and Jacob Prusman going to be on GWC and 448. So that's kind of an introduction to what they're going to be looking at. Again, heat draws are going to be on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, out there at the Stormont Vale Event Center in Topeka. Pick it. I mean, what team would you rather see in your opening round at this point?
Yeah, we've said it before. There's no easy ins. There's no easies. There's no easy heats. So it's definitely going to be your typical Blizzard Bash. I mean, you're going to have to fight from day one to the end to take home the $50,000.
And they're just about full on the qualifying side too, barring anything unforeseen. So we've got almost a complete bracket all the way around. TNT is going to be the first team across the line. Tim Toddy, Ethan Toddy, Matt Raymer, and Austin Bailey. Elliott Motorsports is going to be out there. I don't know if Elliott Motorsports goes out there intending to do the evil things that they end up doing. Those guys always drive so hard. They're so much fun to watch. I would love to see what they could do if they were able to make the jump up into that national bracket, but they're going to have to slow down a little bit. So Dan Batdorf is always entertaining. Brett Jefferson, Jaden Batdorf, and Jake Tews going to be that team. Team A to Z, Dylan Haynes, Jake Lyons, Patrick Smith, Adrian Vandekamp, HLK. HLK is going to be a team to watch. Brian White, Tyler Brangers, Zach Eaton, and Jason Koch all running together with them. Realistic Derby Project, Team RDP. There's Matt Evans right on cue. Dalen Brown, Cody Brown, Harley Miller, and Eric Jeffers running with Team RDP. RPM Redemption. This is a team that was in that main bracket for a long, long time, trying to find their way back in. Rick Quast, Tyler Quast, Hunter Quast, and Derek Creetlow. Team OFT. Blake Thompson, Darren Burke, Charles Billman, and Colin Sleazer. I think there's some new names on that combination with Blake Thompson. I thought he was with a different group last year, but I can't say for certain because it's just not sticking with me the way that I wanted it to. Adam Hoffbeck going to be making the toe in for Team 2. Timmy Gomot going to be on that team with Clayton Troxler and Brandon Karp. So that's going to be a bit of a wild card team because if Adam has the capacity to rise to the occasion, if he decides that everybody's going to just take their time, then everybody's going to take their time around him, and he's going to take his time. If he decides he's going to turn it up, he's going to drive through somebody.
Absolutely.
Zur Engineering, Spencer Harrington, Michael Zur, Brody Brown, and Corey Chandler, Mopar Express, Jamie McKim, Calvin Atchison, Jeremy Atchison, and Tommy Gomot. I can't wait to see what they bring. Because remember, the Imperials are still in play now.
Yes.
Twisted
And
Metal.
they've had a year of
to figure it out,
figure
right?
it out. Yeah, got it out.
And then Twisted Metal, Jeremy Tippy, Junior Hammond, Tyson Combs. Another guy he does okay at that whole derby thing.
Yeah, he does all right.
Lou Lambert, and then FYF is Jordan Booz, Tylent Etel, Matt Schilling. I hadn't seen Matt. I overlooked that when I was looking at this earlier. I was wondering if Matt was going to be on there. Matt Schilling, Kyle Lopez, and then Shut Up Stupid. Love it. Well, maybe I need to be more introspective about that name. Tyler Simmons, Jordan Dunnigan, and Chad Roach, and Mikey Lewis, and
I thought Jason Dials was running with somebody in the qualifying.
I thought so too. Jason Dials might be on. These were the lists that were posted a couple weeks ago. There may have been a change, and then the other thing is that Dials may have gotten a limited world spot.
Oh, okay. Because I'm almost positive he had pictures building a car. So I assumed, which I guess makes an ass out of me, that I'd heard he was going on qualifying, but it wouldn't be Blizzard Bash without Jason Dials there. He's been there forever
With something weird.
Yeah, and I've said that before, man. I love the fact that he will try stuff. A lot of people don't like to go outside of their comfort zones. And
right.
Jason's comfort zone is whatever I feel like building, whatever I can get my hands on. So that's awesome. He's always been one of my favorite builders and drivers. So hopefully he is at Blizzard Bash.
Turn out for what? I do love that on the Elliott Motorsports team name. And there's some other stuff that we're going to dive into here in the coming weeks as we get closer and closer to that, because that show, as we saw in the drop, it's right around the corner. Going to be Veterans Day weekend again, which is always fun. The first round of action is going to be Thursday. Then we move into the Friday night program. Saturday's Twin Bill, and then at least the championship Sunday. And there it is. Yep, Arden Jennings. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely appreciate it.
He's running with the Outsiders.
Nice.
He'll fit in well there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, I really enjoy it. I mean, we've interviewed him a few times out there. Just a good dude. So it's glad to hear he's going to be there.
Show Me Sliders is back. Caddy Nation is back. I mean, that limited world bracket is going to be just as entertaining as what we were talking about in the 50,000 to win national side and the 20,000 to win qualifying side.
Sometimes they forget that their cars aren't built quite as heavy as the full weld cars, and they, the
limited weld cars out there, if you put them in any heat out here, they're going to be full weld anyway.
Yeah, but in the Midwest, it's different. But no, we've seen some great action in the limited weld as well out there. So just a great show, top to bottom.
I believe it was Team Ass Kicker last year had the musical chair situation happen. And they had somebody got hurt, so somebody jumped in somebody else's car, and man, what a show that ended up being at the end. That was I think it was Brent. I'm blanking on his name now. Who do you think? Tim Clark Jr. Who do you think is going to win Blizzard Bash? The person that adapts the best.
Good call.
That is what it comes down to. If you take this sheet of paper right here, and you can just go and pick somebody, or if you can run this thing down and say, yes, this is the team. You might have good luck if you went through and say, well, this team's going to make sure this team doesn't win, so we're going to be able to take those two out. You might be able to whittle it down to maybe 8 or so.
I was going to say put it up on Jim's new wall and throw a dart at it.
He'd love that.
Yeah, so that would be one way to pick it. But no, and it's you can't ever. I don't feel you can ever have a favorite going in, because it's just, I mean, like I said, we've seen luck bite people in the ass. And the first round usually kind of sets the tone, as who's, because I mean, we've seen guys come out of the first round looking good, and then man, they draw somebody in the second round, and it's
it's over.
It comes down to a one-on-one battle, and the other three cars are junk. So it's really up in the air. It's really anybody's game when they get out there.
Team Ass Kicker had to come through the loser side. Zach Anderson just reminded me they had to come through the loser side in order to get back around. So there's no qualifying element to the limited weld and the compact brackets. Yep. The first two teams eliminated from the Twin B mains. The first team out of each of those is done on the national side. Jason Droz checking in. The first and second team from the qualifying side will then earn their way into that national bracket. And the whole point of having the qualifying side eventually got to a point where they can pull somebody up and make sure that the national side is full. But these cars are not built exactly identical. The qualifying side doesn't have quite everything that the national side has, but all the same, it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely, always is.
We do have one more quick break queued up here, and then we're going to come back and wrap things up here for episode number 416, something like that, 416, and so we'll be right back.
Where'd you go?
We did do it at derby.
Ow, my head! You went to a derby?
Hey Derby World, this is All For Him Racing Videos, where Derby never ends. We have people come up and ask, what is All For Him Racing Videos? And the answer is a YouTube channel dedicated to growing the sport of demolition derby in a positive and fun way. Our passion is to show the next generation the sport and capture the memories for generations to come. We're just trying to show that you can be a Christian, do crazy and exciting things like demolition derby, and just spread the word. We have traveled all over the country filming events, all while meeting many great people, hearing amazing stories, seeing the passion for this sport, and falling in love with the derby community. We have grown to be the largest demolition derby channel on YouTube across the world, with millions of views within our large library of videos. We love what we do and can't wait for what the future has in store. We always want to be a place for positive, exciting, and action-packed derby videos. Thank you, Derby World, and enjoy the videos.
Demolition Derby Life magazine releases 12 copies a year and covers all of the action coast to coast for the Demolition Derby World, home of the hottest action motorsports magazine on the market. There's over 30 editions that have been published to date. A full year subscription is $119, and past issues are available. They should be coming out with another release here in the coming weeks. Make sure you jump online and follow along. Find out more about Lexi Joes and everything going on with Demolition Derby Life magazine on demolitionderbylife.com.
And welcome back for the final tour here of episode number 416. Jeffy's Fab Farm. We saw the drop a little bit earlier for them. Jeffy went up into Canada, went back home, and took home a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Got the win.
Yeah, I bet he had a LS in it.
Not in the front wheel drive car.
Oh, it was a front wheel drive. I just saw the
I
picture
don't
with
know.
the. I
didn't look that close. I kind of assumed
that's
that
not
it was
true though, because Devin had a LS in an Illumina. Remember?
That's true. That is true. Or was it Illumina or was it a? Was it Illumina?
I think it was Illumina.
They stuff it in there.
They're in there.
Or was it a Malibu?
Devin,
yeah,
they usually listen.
Christy just logged back on.
Yeah, I did see. To be honest, I guess I assumed again, but I saw a picture of Jeffy with a trophy and everybody, so I assumed front wheel or rear wheel drive. But I could be wrong.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the class was. But
Pork Chop picked up a win over the weekend in his son's van. Great job, Pork Chop.
I still can't believe that he was like just up the road.
Yeah. How cool is that? And we never would have known if we hadn't met him 7-8 years ago.
Right.
Like it's a small world once you get into it.
And he ended up winning up there, and Impact had the show. Christy had a birthday recently. Christy Germain up there with Impact, so it was pretty good. The truck, or excuse me, the van, that was the one that his kid was going to run. And did his boy get a chance to run it or no?
I think he ran it earlier in the year, and then Chop took it for the show and won with it again. So,
not bad.
Not bad. Nice. If you're gonna come home and run Derby, you might as well win it.
Cat Owens checking in. FYF. Does that fix your face?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure what FYF is referring to. Maybe one of the teams that we had. Yeah, FYF. Jordan Booz, Tyler Nito, Matt Schilling, and Kyle Lopez. That's one of the qualifying teams is what they're hashtagging. So. Jacob Franco, I see you.
Cool.
Cool. We had a message come in earlier in the show. How about those Giants?
How about those Giants? My goal, my hope as a fan was to be relevant this season. We've been terrible for so long. I was just hoping to be in some games. I'd like to have a 500 season, but unless you go 8-8-1, there isn't really a 500 season anymore.
Right.
It's 17 games. Very happy with how it's going. It's. I don't feel bad for my boys liking the Giants now. I felt like a bad dad because they were Giants fans the last few years. But it's definitely fun to cheer on your team and win. So we're not where the Buffalo Bills are, but we're not where we were a year ago. So I'm pretty happy.
What decision making did Aaron Rodgers have when he decided to say that is what the team needed to go? And I
don't know if
I feel a little bit like which part? Because right now Aaron Rodgers looks like he smells like cigarettes and Denny's breakfast. You know what I mean? Like
Aaron Rodgers in the offseason did some strange hallucinogenic.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he's recovered, to be honest.
Nope.
How about Tom Brady? Do you think Tom Brady is second-guessing his retirement or not staying retired?
I don't know. I don't know what Tom Brady's doing. I just know that the world's tablet population is far safer now with these rules in place.
Yeah, no doubt.
I thought Mike Evans had a sure touchdown on that bomb, and it just skipped right off of his hands.
Did you see the refs are in trouble because I asked him for an autograph after the?
I did see that.
That's kind of crazy.
I did. I remember that story. I was talking to Melissa about it when I was at Watkins Glen one time. There was a reporter that was ahead of me, and I try very hard at the NASCAR events, and even when I was working those events for IRL, is I'm not going to do anything that is going to put my pass in jeopardy. These people are here doing a job. Mm-hmm. I'm here doing a job. This is not for fun, whatever. Well, this reporter in front of me, and I don't know if he was new or if his kid was just like a Casey Kane super fan or what happened, but he was following Casey Kane and asked him to sign something in the media center with his press credential, and he was out. Like, they got a hold of it. Like, they were reading him the riot act. That's so just carrying on and ended up chasing him out of there. You know, his face was beat red, but you shouldn't do that.
Did you watch any of the Giants game by any chance?
I watched it, yeah.
Did you see where the tight end got hurt? He was somebody's hand went through his face mask hard enough to break his eye socket.
Oh my gosh!
And possibly have to have surgery on his septum. It was bad. Like, they showed a picture of him leaving the field on the back of the cart, and like it was already like black under his eye in like a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. So he definitely it was bad. And strangely enough, there was no penalty call on that play. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So
I saw the running back for the Jets tore up a knee.
Yeah. That's terrible. I hate seeing it. And if you look, like, he was being tackled when it happened, but it was, I mean, he didn't take a blow to the knee. It was just, he got hit and it tore. And I mean, it really blows my mind that these guys who are some of the best athletes in the world, like, they can just be running in a straight line and their ACL will go. Like, it's crazy.
It's interesting to see how flexible their bodies can be, and you see their legs getting wrapped and twisted, and basically like a dragon screw in WWE, and it's like, yeah, it's fine, no problem, and then running in a straight line, all of a sudden it just pops.
Yeah, it just happens. Yeah, it's definitely strange.
No, I thought when you're talking about the tight end being hurt, initially when you gestured toward your face, I thought you were going to be asking me about the interception that came back. Daniel Jones. Threw a pass, and he got hit right underneath the chin off the top of that helmet. That didn't look good, but he didn't even go down.
Yeah.
You're talking about the injuries and how fluky things can be. But
Tua was back yesterday?
Yep. I saw Tua was back yesterday. I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do with that, but Tua was back yesterday. I think the Giants are going to get into some of the heart of the schedule, and I think things are going to come back down to a little bit more of a toned down reality, but they're looking good. The Jets, we'll have to see what can happen with the Jets. The Jets still have to see some pretty stout competition too. And also, I would like to point out, because apparently some of the people on Twitter don't know, but there is only one team in New York. Those two teams that we were talking about, the Jets and the Giants, they both are in New Jersey.
Okay. Okay. I'd also like to point out that the Giants were the ones that started the Bills' 4 straight Super Bowl losses.
We had a conversation with Melissa about that. It's like, as good as they are, this could really end up being just a replay of history, and we don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, because
But that was also back when the NFC East was an outstanding program.
you know what?
It was Giants, Washington, and then the Cowboys twice.
if you look right now, if the season ended today, 3 teams from the NFC East would be in the playoffs: Dallas, Giants, and Philly.
And last year, I think the
They
team
were terrible. They were like 7-9.
the team that won the division got to the playoffs with a
7-9
record.
Yeah, legit. So it's it is what it is. And you just never know, because like in Derby, a fluke hit can blow a knee out and you're done. So
Sure can.
I don't know. It's probably getting close to that time.
Good question. Oh, Cowboys over Giants. Zach Anderson says WRP going for the win. Honestly, it's just awesome to see the Imperials. Hope to see more 67s and 68s, even though the full framers are better for the rules. When you have the cage rules that you have at Blizzard Bash, a full frame car gets basically a second frame from the firewall all the way back behind the gas tank up to the arches. So if you don't have a frame to start with, like a 67 or 68 Imperial, you're adding that frame in the middle of the car, sure, but it's just not the same as the cars that now have built frame rail to top frame rail.
There's a couple other ideas that I think have been tried or are going to be tried, so we'll see. Like I said, they've had a year. The ice year was the first year they could run them, and they didn't. They didn't set the world on fire, but hopefully we got some guys that have tried and learned from their mistakes, and hopefully they'll be out there again this year tearing stuff up.
We should look forward to it. We're going to be out there Thursday night. Looking forward to seeing everybody again. We'll be out there. I'm going to miss the heat draws, but I'll be there Thursday for the first round of action, and then we'll be with you all weekend long with Steve Bucknam. Looking forward to that. But I think, any final thoughts?
No, I think we're good.
We covered everything that we wanted to get to tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us for a little while. We've been over by about 15 minutes or so, but we kept everybody with us, so that's always good. That's going to do it for this one. 416 in the books. We'll see you again next Monday for 417. Thanks for watching.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLinks1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.